Concerning Roger Stone, a judge has gone ahead and imposed a gag order on the former Trump confidant who posted a photo on Instagram of the judge with what appeared to be the crosshairs of a gun. And she's not taking any of that lightly. Catherine Herridge with more on this. Catherine.
Well, Neil, this was really a crisis of Roger Stone's own making that began a few days ago when he posted on Instagram a photo of the judge in this case, Amy Berman Jackson, with what appeared to be a target or a crosshairs in the background. He reposted that without the target in the background, ultimately took it down, and then was called to court today, where he spent over an hour on the stand answering questions from the judge, from his own lawyers and the prosecutors about whether these Instagram posts were a violation of the court's direction not to engage in activities that could end up threatening individuals involved in the case. And the judge has just told Stone that here on out, he is not allowed to speak publicly about the case on social media, on TV, on radio, and significantly, he is not allowed to do that through third parties or surrogates. So there is now a total gag order on Roger Stone. The judge also said that his explanation to the court that he was under extreme financial and emotional stress and he accepted responsibility for this action, according to the judge, rang hollow. And she made the point that it wasn't just about the social media posts from Roger Stone. It was about how those kind of images and messages could incite others to commit acts of violence that were related to the case, Neil.
So she could have been tougher still, right? What do you think happens now? Now, he's been making the media rounds. He cut back a little bit, but now he's got to be Operation Silence, right?
Well, I think the judge is taking a very traditional approach, which is she's making incremental modifications, at least at this point, to the gag order. The next step would be some kind of modification of the terms of his bail. But I think the judge is taking sort of what I would counsel as a wise and incremental approach to punishing Stone for what she sees as actions that really could have incited violence against herself or others in this case, Neil.
You know, obviously he's been the loose cannon. His reputation is such. He speaks his mind, sometimes goes overboard here. But this judge seems to be saying right up front, it's not going to happen. You're not going to be doing that, period.
Well, that's right. And Stone had made the argument to the judge that he makes his living off of being in the media, being on TV, and this was one of the ways that he generated income for himself. And he testified in court today that he has seen his consulting business dry up. He's basically wiped out his savings, and for all of these reasons, he's under extreme emotional stress. But that was just not enough for the judge to say, okay, I'm going to allow you to continue with some of these activities because it's how you make your living. So again, a very incremental approach by the judge, further restrictions on the gag order that stops Stone from publicly talking about the case or authorizing third parties to do so on his behalf, Neil.
You know, Kevin, I had the opportunity to talk to you about these new reports here that the Mueller investigation could be wrapping up very soon, maybe as soon as next week. Have you heard anything more on that and all the ancillary cases attached to it like this?
You know, there have been a lot of moving pieces, especially today, Neil. Number one, we've got confirmation that the president's former personal attorney, Michael Cohen, will be on Capitol Hill for back-to-back hearings next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, on the House side, on the Senate side. But the most important day is sandwiched in the middle, and that will be Wednesday. That will be public testimony in front of the House Oversight Committee. But there are going to be restrictions on what we hear from Cohen. He's going to be asked questions that speak specifically to the case that has arisen in the Southern District of New York. So that's things like bank, tax fraud, campaign finance violations, and then the hush money payments during the campaign. The other thing that's happened is we've seen an acceleration of the timeline in the Manafort case for sentencing, not only here in Washington, D.C., but also in Virginia. And people who have read the tea leaves see this as another indicator that the special counsel investigation is winding down. Our own reporting, our contacts say that this is really the end game now, and the report could come in days or weeks. They don't foresee it as being longer than that, in part because a number of data points have finally aligned. The new Attorney General, William Barr,
you can
is
see,
now
you can see Roger Stone now leaving the courthouse. The judges said, you know, the gag order is in effect. Don't talk to anybody, and he is not. He's going right out to a waiting van. Let's watch. Sometimes he does the Nixon arms raised in the air. None of that. He's in the car and away he goes. To your point, Catherine, I'm sorry to interrupt you with that. He's sticking to those orders, isn't he?
That's right. Well, the partial gag order, just to be clear, prevented him from making, or his team from making statements on the courthouse steps. So we didn't really expect to hear anything from Stone today. But, you know, the silence with reporters is not second nature to Stone. And he is obeying the new order from the judge, which completely shuts down any media contact or statements about the case.